You know, I never really got onto the Chainsaw Man hype, and it's not because of any particular reason. I thought the concept sounded cool enough to be worth a try at some point in my life, but it didn't stand out to me as a must-read right away. I still have the same feeling when I really think about it, but you know, 100 chapters is short enough for a weekend read so I could catch up in no time. But now that the anime is on the menu and made by MAPPA, which means the food will be tasty, I'll have to have a bite. I thought I would still rather wait for the episodes to pile up and then binge it, but man, this opening sequence is screaming in my face to watch it right now, and I think I get the hype. Just so you guys know my knowledge of Chainsaw Man going into this, I thought Makima was the main villain of the series and she also had a very OP ability like a one-shot. Yeah, that's the impression I made while catching glimpses of images, posts and comments of the manga. But here she is in the middle of the main characters leading them to God nowhere, and I'm just here wondering what the fuck is going on. I like when my impression of a series is crushed, in a positive way of course, and this goofy chaotic madness of the opening sequence filled with God knows how many references might just take me on a pretty cool journey. I actually have sat and rewatched the opening for like an hour. Either I have a mental problem, which very likely, or I'm going to say that the manga readers were right, which doesn't happen very often, but hey, let the manga readers have their W. In case you are like me and have no idea what Chainsaw Man is about, let me quickly get you up to date with what's been shown so far. Denji wants to feel some boobs and power his best girl. I haven't seen her yet, but I can tell she's the one. Denji, an ordinary guy minus an eye, a kidney and a nut, inherited his father's debt from the Yakuza and works all kinds of jobs to pay that money back, the most profitable one being a devil hunter, hired by the Yakuza to hunt various threatening creatures of this world with the help of his dog. Half chainsaw, half dog, but a good boy nonetheless. While Denji is never going to earn enough to pay them back, at least they're letting him live as long as he does their dirty jobs. Right? Maybe not. In a commendable but cruel twist, his dog friend Pochita gives his heart to Denji and brings him back to life, turning him into a half devil, half human hybrid. With a pull of a cord, Denji becomes the Chainsaw Man. I honestly expected it to be more on the edgy side with all the gore it has going on, but the scene where Denji gets slowly stabbed to death, it took me by surprise. Not going to lie, I thought, whoa, how can this moment have such a great payoff when I've only been with Denji for less than 10 minutes? And it's all in his introduction. Despite his horrible life where it seems like there's absolutely no good outcome at the end of the tunnel, he treasures the small moments he shares with his friend Pet and comforts himself via dreams. He doesn't want much, some money, food, a clean place, to play video games with someone he could call his girlfriend. Simple things. And that's why he comes off as a genuinely sympathetic character. But the truly great thing about it is that the sympathetic aspect goes on top of his personality. It's not what defines Denji. He's got his own thing going on, but he's also sympathetic. And that to me is a fresh sign of good writing. I am kind of excited going forward, to be honest. Now, whatever his personality develops into, it's a different thing. He's got glimpses of insanity, but I'm just happy he wasn't portrayed as just another relatable and sympathetic character with nothing else going on for him. Makima's personality, though, was something I didn't see coming. This soft-spoken, easygoing and sort of spontaneous person came as a surprise to me. Her character design gave off the vibe of a dominant and manipulative person, a little bit cold-blooded, which I suppose she might still turn out to be, but I really didn't expect her to be part of the good guys. I'm quite intrigued to see what's her deal. The mystery aspect, though, is what I'm actually the most excited about because it shapes up to really deliver. The first episode has already brought up a lot of interesting questions regarding the characters we saw in the world, which I assume will get answered at some point in the series, but I quite like how naturally they were introduced and how easy they spiral into more and more questions. Like the author makes you aware of them but doesn't artificially focus on them if the situation doesn't call for it. He lets you think about it. To give you an example that stood out to me, Pochita. Why was Pochita hurt in Denji's flashback? His wounds look like bullet holes, but was he hunted by someone? He doesn't look that threatening, and as we saw from his relationship with Denji, he seems to be just a pretty weak dog with a chainsaw on his head. However, when he fused with Denji, Denji became quite a lot more powerful than you'd imagine, being able to shred through a bunch of devils without taking any damage. How was that possible, and who is Pochita really? See what I mean when I say one question easily spirals into multiple others? Or the situation with his father, which I found incredibly interesting. In the beginning of the episode, there's a door in Denji's nightmare that he's too afraid to open. Now, the hidden behind the door symbolism in any type of media is always meant to represent ignorance. Something a character is choosing to ignore, and by extension, something we as readers are also ignoring. So, what is it? What has happened in Denji's life so far that would be traumatic enough to force Denji to ignore that? His father's suicide. That's the only thing we clearly see had affected him since he was a kid. Nothing of significance has happened after that, right? Prior to the events of the first episode. So, what's behind that door must be somewhat related to his father. But is Denji simply choosing to ignore his father's suicide? There's no mystery in that. So why keep it hidden? What's actually behind the door? This Fujimoto guy seems to really know how to write engaging stories. Now, in terms of chaos, the anime delivered. You want to see a bloody massacre? The show gives you a bloody massacre, and I will definitely expect one every other episode. It has a good grasp of the line between edgy and gore, as even when Denji started to maniacally laugh while slaughtering the zombies, I wasn't put off by it, as I'm usually with scenes that go too hard on the gore. This one felt right, as ridiculous as that sounds. I guess the only thing that put me off slightly was Denji's 3D model. I don't like CGI when it's very noticeable. It doesn't necessarily detract from my enjoyment, but it does distract me a little bit. And while the CG for this episode was quite good overall, Denji's 3D model wasn't. Very clunky, and it feels like it lives off 5 FPS, but it's definitely not a make or break thing. I don't expect them to animate 3 fucking chainsaws in 2D while Denji is jumping around like crazy, but maybe they could have blended them a bit better. But then again, MAPPA has never had a good relationship with 3D models. I guess that's an aspect that will come down to personal preference. A bit off topic, but I'm a huge fan of the Witcher games. I think the last iteration is the best game ever made. I've put hundreds of hours in it, and I'm still excited at the thought of starting yet another playthrough. But I'll also be the first to say that it has lots and lots of problems, some really major ones, but I still love the game nonetheless. So what I'm saying is that as long as the quality of everything else stays as high as it is in Chainsaw Man, I don't really mind the 3D models. Overall, I think it was a brilliant first episode with a ridiculously good opening. I'm very excited for us to come. Great job, manga readers, this one is a big W.